Damn. Reality is really cruel. I didn't think that would happen quite like that. I mean, there was obvious hints and all of that, but I gotta admit, Norman played, I think, me and everyone else when it came to last week's chapter. And even at the beginning of this chapter, I honestly thought he was going to, try to escape, disable the tracker, and be fine. No. That did not happen. So, apparently Norman has sacrificed his life for Emma, Ray, and everyone else. It's honestly sad. And the last chapter, how like a bird, they'll forget how to fly if they're caged for so long. That's exactly the message of what's happened to Norman. When you're caged for so long and you're forced to live a certain life, obviously you'd forget about the natural instincts of what it means to be human, to save yourself and fight for your own life before anything else. Your natural instincts as a human to survive. And it's sad that Norman fought against those instincts just to be able to save everyone else. And it's commendable. It's an honorable thing, but overall it's just sad because Norman is a very good character. He's a very good person. Not just character, but a good person. And to see how he's sacrificing himself, I'm like, damn. Reality is fucking cruel. Now, I'm going to be honest here. I'm sad to see Norman possibly dying, and if he is indeed going to die, I'm going to be sad, and I'm going to miss his character. And in all honesty, it's kind of wasted potential if he does die, because there's just so much his character could accomplish because of what he's already done for the story of The Promised Neverland. However, the character's death would serve a very good purpose, a message, so to say, to the readers of The Promised Neverland to let us know that characters can in fact die in this series. And it really depends on how the writer does it, if Norman lives or doesn't live, because the way it's, written will determine how the writer could handle possible deaths, or maybe faking deaths for a long time and then eventually finding out the character's alive. One or the other, it'll really determine the type of writing that the Promised Neverland will have in the future and the way it will handle critical moments like this. And one of the big things about this series that I really love is how it can bring out so much emotion in me to where I'm like, holy shit, this is sad. It's tense, and you just don't know what's going to happen next. And there's just so much meaning behind that final panel of the chapter. When you see Norman, he's like, yeah, tell, Mama I'll be down there in a second to go with her. And, he goes out and all that, and when she gives him a hat, he puts the hat on, and he just walks with her to the gate. He's going to his death. And you have to be a very strong-willed individual to be able to do something like that. To lay down your life is something that, honestly, not many people could possibly do. I mean, you could say it, you could say you could do it, but it's honestly probably something that many of us would have a lot of hard time doing, because it's just, imagine giving up your life and dying, just facing death head on. And you gotta remember, this is a very young kid. Even though they act like adults and they know a lot of shit, they're very intelligent, they are still children. You gotta remember, a child his age, being able to face death like that is just remarkable. And I commend Norman for being able to do something that courageous, but at the same time, I'm sad that he's being forced to do this. I mean, he's thinking logical, because overall, he knows if he is to fake his escape, it's just going to increase security overall, regardless, and it's going to make it a hell of a lot harder to be able to get out of there in the first place. And even if they had the chance of escaping, he would at the very least know that not all of them would be able to make it. And so, to help out Emma and fulfill her wish, he decided to give up his own self. And what I'm getting at is when he's thinking about Ray and he's thinking about Emma, he's thinking about Emma, she's very naive, and so is Ray. Ray's very logical, but it's just hard to believe he believed everything I said. But then, he was also like, the reason why Ray acts like he does, like it's no problem situation, is because he's willing to sacrifice all the other kids to just save the 5. And so he knew that would be the reason how they would be able to get out. And Emma, obviously, she's very naive, and she wants to bring everyone with her, even though that's just not going to happen. There's just no fucking way that's going to happen. It's looking less and less likely as we find out more information about the, the plant that, all the children are being stored at right now. So, when you look at it like this, Emma, what she wants is not going to happen. But, what Norman did in this chapter, it pretty much signifies what he's wanting to, or a message, so to say, that if he was to survive and try to fake his escape, it would make it to where all the children will definitely die. Like, it's a 100% chance all of them will definitely die. Even if Emma and Ray could get out, all the others are going to die. There's just no other way they're going to be able to get out, because if there's anyone that's going to get out, it's going to be a very small few, because the security is going to be tightened. And then on top of that, you got to remember, if Norman was to die, obviously security wouldn't be increased, so if there is even like a 99% chance of failure, at the very least they have a 1% chance to get all the children out. And that's kind of what Norman is trying to do, what signifies his death and why he wanted to go against everything, and why he was trying to believe in Emma and Ray. So I feel very bad. Feel very bad for him and all that because of what he's doing, and it just really makes me question, will he actually die or will he survive? I mean, that's right now up in the air. We don't really know. I mean, there is a very likely possibility, you know, it could be speculated that, you know, we assume he's dead, but we don't actually get to see the death, and then maybe, like, if the series lasts for a very long time, like 100 chapters down the road, maybe 200 chapters down the road, maybe Norman pops back up for some reason, he's like an adult or something, and he plays a big part in the series. Something like that definitely could happen. I could definitely see that happening, especially since it's a shonen, but the writer so far, The Promised Neverland, has shown to be very different from an average shonen, so we don't know. There could be a very potential permanent death here with Norman, you know, possibly being completely dead, but we just got to see where the writer is going to take it. So before I end this review, there's one last thing I do want to talk about. Let's talk about the wall and the cliff. So apparently over the wall, it's a sheer drop. It's just a complete pit. And so even if you're able to scale on top of the wall, you're not going to be able to just escape at any point, because all around the farm is just a straight drop, and there's only one bridge apparently that connects to the other side, and which most likely, you know, is connected to probably the heaviest, you know, amount of security on the entire place. So the children getting out, it's gonna be fucking hard. It's gonna be very, very hard, just judging by how there's only one bridge, the entirety of it is just a sheer fucking drop. That means that they can't just get out anywhere they want and then get across, unless they can make some type of bridge, which I highly doubt. So when you think about it like that, just the way the challenge is being stepped up with each chapter, it's just crazy. Because, I mean, last chapter, we found out that they're in the middle of headquarters, so that's really bad. That means a lot of adults and demons are just hanging around, and they could be there just like that. But now knowing that even if you get on top of the wall, it's not that easy, it's because there's a sheer cliff, that makes it even worse, because that means there's just nowhere to go, because there's only one central point that all of them can escape from, and so that means even if on the off chance that, you know, they get on top of the wall, and they were able to get a lot of people on the wall, all the children, they would all have to funnel onto that bridge to get out. And let's think about what Norman is dying for. See, if Norman was to fake escaping, obviously, they would just need to increase security on the bridge. That's all they would need to do. They wouldn't need to, you know, increase security on the walls or other parts of the farm. They wouldn't need to do that. You want to know why? Because they only need to control one place on the entire headquarters. Just look at one area and guard it, because that's the only way the children can cross. Because, obviously, from everything we know when it comes to the series, there's no supernatural powers, for instance, being able to jump really high up, or, you know, flying or anything like that. So, from everything we know right now, there's just no way the children could jump over that gap or make any way to get across. So the only way is by the bridge, which is already there. So if they found out that some child escaped or whatever, obviously they would just throw a bunch of demons on the bridge, and then you wouldn't ever be able to get across, regardless. So that's why Norman is dying. That is the big reason why he's willing to sacrifice himself, because he realizes that even if there was a chance, there would be no chance if that bridge was guarded a lot more, because if he faked, you know, his escape. So yeah, that's my point in overall a very, very good chapter of The Promised Neverland. So let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below, and I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.